Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to look at the physical geography of East Asia, particularly China, their northern neighbors Mongolia, and the island claimed by the People's Republic of China, Taiwan. We already know that China has the largest population in the world, but did you know they're not the largest country by size? In fact, most of the people living in China don't even live throughout the entire country. As you listen today, I want you to record in your fill in the blank notes key things from this podcast. I want you to enjoy learning about the unique features of East Asia and listen for how these physical features affect where people live in China specifically. You can pause this PowerPoint at any time. You can go back, you can go forward, and you can revisit it as much as you'd like. Let's start by looking at the vocabulary terms that we're focusing on for this particular lesson. At your student page, you will notice that you need to fill in some of the information missing. For example, under landlocked, I want you to know that a country that is landlocked means that it's surrounded by land on all sides. The example on the map that you have is Mongolia. Can you label the country of Mongolia, which is north of China, on the map on your student page now? Now, another term that we've been studying is what plateaus are. These are lands that are having a relatively level surface, so a flat top. I'll show you a picture in just a moment if you don't remember what plateaus look like. In China, they have a popular plateau of Tibet that we're going to mark in just a minute on your map. Now on to fertile plains. Fertile plains are a different type of physical feature. These are lands that are capable of producing a lot of vegetation, food, things they can grow. An example in China is the northern China plains. In just a moment, we will label these on your map as well. Now, typhoons are more of a natural disaster that threatens the people living in this part of the world. You might know these as cyclones or even hurricanes. They're typically found in the Western Pacific area and China, which is where they call them typhoons on this part of the world. The last term that you're going to hear throughout this lesson is elevation. If you will remember, elevation is the height to which something is elevated or to which it rises. So how tall something is. For example, Mount Everest is found in this part of the world under the Himalayan mountain range. We're going to find out which part of China Mount Everest and the Himalayan mountains are in just a moment. Once you've filled in your vocabulary terms chart, go on to the next slide. Now you're ready to look at the physical features of East Asia. While ownership of the land itself has changed over history, geographic features do not. Follow along with your student's note page and take a look at the partially filled in map of East Asia. Let's look at the physical geography and add a few of the features to your map. Remember, physical features are points on a map that show change in the land terrain. China is home to the Plateau of Tibet. Take your red map pencil and shade in the same area you see here on the slide. This part of China is full of plateaus and other desert and mountainous-like features. Do you think this type of feature is a good location to live? Now that you have colored the Plateau of Tibet, please label it too. This might be a good point to pause the podcast until you are ready to move on to our next physical feature. The next feature for us to explore in China is the Gobi Desert. This area is north of the Plateau of Tibet and includes the southern part of Mongolia. Now, take your yellow-colored pencil and shade in the area on your map where the Gobi Desert is located. Please label it too. Deserts are very dry lands and don't get a lot of water. That's only one of the many reasons people don't settle and desert regions. Can you think of any other reasons not to live in the desert? China is not all deserts and plateaus. There is a large fertile plain area capable of producing a lot of vegetation called the North China Fertile Plains. Let's use our green color to symbolize vegetation and know that this area is great for farming and producing crops. China is one of the world's leading producers of rice, and this part of China is where they produce most of their crops. Please color in this region on your physical map and label it North China Fertile Plains. If you can see out to the east of China, in the middle of the ocean, is a territory claimed by China, the island of Taiwan. If you will please label Taiwan on your map and the ocean that it sits in. Now, if you're ready to add just a few more features to your student page, go to the next slide. The next two features are major rivers in China. In China, they use a lot of rivers to harness its energy, which is called hydroelectric power. Using your blue map pencils, we're going to draw in where two of these main rivers are located. Other than as a power source, can you think of other reasons why people want to live near rivers? Please draw in the Henghe or Yellow River and the Changjiang, the Yangtze River. These are two arrows pointing to these two rivers to help you identify them on your map. Start on the eastern coast of China and draw the river inland. For the last physical features, we're going to use our gray color to shade in the famous Himalayan mountain range. This has the tallest mountain elevation in the world and contains the most famous mountain, Mount Everest. You will notice that it overlaps the plateau of Tibet region, but that's okay. Both of these features have rugged terrain, which is rocky and not very fertile. While Mount Everest is a huge tourist site, do you think a lot of people like to live on mountain regions? Now that we've explored some of the major physical features of Eastern Asia, looking specifically at China, think of these questions. You have a main idea question, details question, and a discussion question. For the main idea and details question, I would like for you to answer those on your student's note page. For example, in what ways do physical features impact where humans live? Thinking specifically of this lesson in China. Then I want you to answer, what are some major effects of living near rivers for people? This can be positive or negative. I gave you some examples in the podcast. Then for the discussion, I want you to log into your Google Classroom account where you will see the discussion question posted again there. Answer the discussion question in complete sentences and then respond to a friend's. Which physical features do you think are the most important to a country? Be sure to explain your point of view. Great job taking notes today. Remember, you can go back and review the podcast again if there's anything you missed.